Welcome to this edition of Policy Matters here on Intellectual Radio. Every Monday at 6 p.m. you can view us live via Facebook Live or Intellectual Radio or iHeartRadio. Today we should have a very interesting topic, diving into the events of today, and we do have an in-studio guest that should be arriving here shortly. So it's Monday. It's a nice, beautiful day on the political scene here in the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago. We had some very interesting articles come out, and we have a lot to talk about. It's been a lot of rumors, buzz about different individuals that is looking to seek the seat of mayor here in the city of Chicago. I have one of those individuals coming in who has actually ran for that seat, and he knows what it's like to be in the hot seat. So today there was some talk, and the Tribune put out an article regarding Rod Joy possibly entering the ring, his hat in the ring for mayor of Chicago, whom he was Chris Kennedy's running mate during the gubernatorial election, which it should be very interesting. We also have 7 candidates right now in the race, and it's looked like it's shaping up to be at least 4 more individuals that's getting in. I also heard today that Lori Lightfoot resigned. She resigned from president of the police board, oversight board, which sets her in the stage to also run for Rahm's seat. So I guess Rahm Emanuel have to be saying, damn, he has to be saying, all these people coming out against me to run against me, I am not liked. But I do believe there are some individuals that do like him, and that's the 1% of individuals that he is building these skyscrapers for. So if you guys like to call in, the number is 708-223-8953, and we'll get this show rolling. So I would like to talk about Miss Lightfoot coming into the race. Maybe she'll make an announcement pretty soon. I do know that she had been there, but she has a little following among some activists with her standing up to Rahm, which this is a recent stand up for me because she's been around for a while, and she just start making bones for herself when she started standing up, and he had appointed her for a second term. And the only reason he did reappoint her, I do believe, is he couldn't take the political fallout at that time. They had butted heads on some recent issues. But another key issue is that the board is set to make a decision on the Ramos case, the individual who shot Betty Jones, as well as LaGreer. So my guest is walking in now, so we'll continue to go, and we will jump right on in. So
yes, we will.
So welcome, Bob.
Hey, good evening.
Good evening,
everybody that's listening tonight.
Yeah. So I was just discussing individuals that had possible running for the mayor of Chicago. Rod Joy, it was a Tribune article that came out, said Rod Joy may run, as well as Lori Lightfoot. She resigned today.
Right.
Yeah. So
I hear she's declaring maybe on
Thursday. I heard that too, but
yep.
Yeah, I just allow her to get her, I guess
give her a little chance to settle in after resigning.
Yeah, after in saying that, and I know she has some following among activists and individuals like that, but I know you are very astute on the political process. You ran for mayor, and you know the players and the members and different things like that. But correct me if I'm wrong. I know she started standing up to Rahm here in the recent, But wasn't she around for a while when the Burgess and different?
Oh yeah, and OPS. She was in
Yeah,
charge of OPS. She
right.
did what was told, and now all of a sudden there's this new vibrancy of seeing. Well, everything I did was a mistake. So it's getting interesting. I'm trying to think. Probably put on my right hand the number of people that are not running for mayor of the city of Chicago at this rate. I mean, and I don't mean it to, but everybody's getting in the race. Um, but as I said, what are the before? What are the issues? How are we going to solve the issues that are affecting our city as a whole? And what we do in the city affects the county, affects the state, and really affects the region. And it's bigger and broader than what we anticipate here. So, granted, I think each of them have their own constituency, but nobody is stepping forward in how we get hope, how we restore hope to our neighborhoods, how we rebuild our neighborhoods, and what we need to do to bring this into one of the top cities again in the world. Our financial problems are just about to crush us, and we have yet to hear from anybody. I know the mayor talks about, well, he's addressed them. He's addressed the pension problems, this problem. Well, the truth of the matter is he just kicked it down the road until about 2024. And whoever comes in after him, if he is in for a third term, they're in trouble then. And that's when the trouble starts. So we've got to look at who's offering us how to bring our communities together: white, black, brown, north side, south side, how to get jobs in our communities, and what we need to do here.
You said a mouthful, and I
totally, sure did.
I totally agree. Another interesting thing that I thought that came out, that Gutierrez's daughter is planning to run for alderman against a longtime Rahm ally who votes heavily, and most of the council votes heavily with Rahm, but this individual votes heavily with Rahm. I was wondering how that's going to play out, because Gutierrez is, as well as the co-chair of Rahm re-election committee.
He sure was. And I don't know if he is this time yet, but there must be some real animosity between Raboyes and the Gutierrez camps for him to for this to happen.
Yeah, that's a move.
Yes, exactly. So it may be a power play for not this election, but for the next election. And that's where people are. Sometimes you think they're all focused on what's going to happen in February and April, if there is a runoff, and between the aldermanic one. But the truth of the matter is they may be looking for the future on the next election after that. And, Gutierrez has been said to, he resigned his seat, and hasn't resigned his seat. He's retiring, but he's looking for what? Maybe to run for president. Stranger things have happened. Remember that guy called Donald Trump?
Yes.
I mean, it's speculation on what I'm saying there, but it has bubbled up to the surface enough that who knows.
Interesting. So you walked in with your briefs. I know you're a lawyer, and you got a wealth of information that you want to share with us, and so let's go.
Well, a couple of things. I think when we're looking at what happens here in this aldermanic mayoral races, money is going to be the key factors. A lot of them have already started raising money. They haven't declared their candidacy in a lot of the wards. Somebody contacted me today from one of the South Side. He wants to raise $15,000 in the next by June 23rd. He wants to declare on June 23rd, and then from June until 23rd, until the day that petitions open, which is August 26th, raise another $15,000. So he's got $30,000 combined, so he can get on the ballot. It's boiling down, but Rahm's collected. Unfortunately, Willie Wilson broke the cap, And up until that point, you can only accept, I think, $5,600 from individuals, which is a lot of money. And at the same time, about 11,000 from corporations. And of course, don't forget, political PACs can give you 55,000. Right. Isn't it strange that the political PACs can give you so much, corporations can give you so much, and then the individuals give you less? And if you break a cap of 100,000, then they can give you whatever they want. And Willie broke the cap by giving himself $100,000. So Rahm has raised over $5 million at this point, and that's for his particular race, running for mayor. So the gloves are off in that one. I don't see how people are going to compete. I hear numbers, but I don't see them coming forward with those numbers.
Also, I don't believe it's going to take a wealth of money to beat him, because he is heavily unliked.
Okay.
He is heavily unliked. However, I know he does have a base with individuals that are power brokers, but I don't really think it's someone has got to come and speak to the issues, like you said, of the community, unifying the city as a whole. We hear, the tale of two cities. You got the downtown and you got the south and the west sides, and they try to pick the south and the west side against each other, but we're generally in the same pot.
Right.
It's us against them.
Well, one of the interesting things I thought about recently was how they give menu money. Every alderman gets 1.5 million per year to do whatever he or she wants. But if your ward is the size of a postage stamp, but if the other ward's the size of a football field, how does 1.5 help the huge ward in landmass that had less citizens versus the other one? I think about it, and you wonder why the downtown area is so clean and kept up. It's because they're smaller, they're larger concentrations of people. Well, we need to find ways to get more money into the communities, and not just through tips. We need to lower the size of the city council. To me, that's the number one problem that we have. We have 50 aldermen, and it's probably anywhere from 15 to 25 too many in the city of Chicago. And we've got to find new ways. We've got to reinvent government. We don't have people that are on the city council don't have a voice really in our educational system. We don't have a voice in our parks. So some of the better entities that are out there, or should be, that are accessible for the people of the city of Chicago, whether they're our schools, our parks, are not available. The aldermen have no input into them.
Right. And when you was a member of the city council, one of the key things that many people may not know about you passed a lot of legislation, put forth a lot of legislation. You was a member of the Progressive Caucus. You was on the right side of CTU for quite some time when nobody else was vocal on it. You was Friends of the Park. You the Pullman, because you're from Roseland.
Right.
The Pullman. So you have been very vocal on a lot of hot button issues that affect individuals. And one of the things I really always admired about you is the Baby Tamira case.
Thank you.
The Baby Tamira case. That
it changed that case changed the laws, just not only in Illinois but across the country. And for those that are listening to your program, here she was. She was 18. She had her child. She, within a week or two, she was always still suffering. Had some issues. She read in the Sun Times a little ad. You want to give up your baby? Call the 1-800 number. She called it. They flew her to Utah. Utah has these quick policies, and you can sign away your baby within 48 hours. She signed it away, came back here. Her mother and her decided, wait a minute, what did you do? You know, she had 102 fever when she did it. They sent her back here without her baby. To this day, I'm never really sure what those entities did, because they ran these small ads in urban newspapers in urban areas such as the South Side, and not really around the whole thing, here in Chicago, down in Atlanta, Kansas, New York, other cities, and all of them impacted. We fought. We had a team that we put together. There was really four of us, full time. And when I say full time, we worked for over 6 months trying to get that baby back. We did get the baby back. And Rod Blagojevich was the governor then, signed legislation that was introduced in both the Senate and the House, changing and prohibiting those kind of ads. It disrupted what they called the Interstate Compact, and all of that said, wait a minute, then we can't be doing this anymore. And they stopped doing it. But to this day, I'm not sure where that baby would have gone. What it was all about.
Well, I'm just gonna throw this out here. So they stopped doing it that way. They just go to Africa and get them now. You know, you just be a celebrity and you go get your little black baby from Africa, and you know you can fly them around at the red carpet event.
Yeah.
And you do it a little different.
See, but I think some of it was involved in human trafficking.
Mm-hmm.
And you take these babies away and you put them in sex trades, slave trades, work trades. And I think it was more of a human trafficking effort under a lot of these and what happens. You know, Chicago is a global center for human trafficking every day. And I've been a proponent of this in the city council. We once had a hearing before the public, I think Human Rights and Public Safety Committee. It was joint. And aldermen came up to me and said, I didn't know it was so bad in the city of Chicago. I didn't know. We had the state's attorney, people from the U.S. Attorney's Office, the FBI, the police department, survivors of human trafficking, of prostitution, and people that were out there trying to raise the issue. I mean, it was almost an all-day hearing on the issue. And Chicago has, no matter what they say, I think it goes hand in hand with the trade conventions. You know, why did you used to go to Vegas? Well, they went there for prostitution and the trade conventions or gambling. Okay. But then Vegas became a family event, family area. But in some of these, and to this day, you know, if we have 25,000 acts of prostitution in the city of Chicago on a daily basis, something's wrong. And for not bringing that up and not dealing with that issue is wrong across the board.
That's a great issue, because many times we talk about all the issues that this city have and all the global market and the attractions that we have and different things like that. But there's a huge underbelly to this city, the black market, the things that come in across the world. It's a major hub. You know, I remember me and you in the winter, Central Madison,
Right.
heart of the West Side,
Uh-huh.
heart of the West Side. So you are one of those individuals that is willing to jump right in the thick of things and take forth the effort and grab the torch. So with that being said, what are you thinking about?
I'm thinking about what am I going to have for dinner tonight? You know, I hope that we see, and you know, I was talking to somebody who wants to run for alderman in one of the wards last night, or one of his family members, if he doesn't, will run for alderman. And I just said, you need and he said a progressive, they're a progressive, whatever that means. Because progressive has all kinds of connotations. It means you're not a liberal and not a conservative, but you're a progressive. Okay, so tell me what you want to do. How does government help you? How does government move people along? But in the environment that we're in Chicago, I mean, we have more people moving out. We have, if you're, you know, black, white, brown, middle classes are being forced out of the city. They can't pay the taxes. The jobs don't pay enough. There's no educational opportunities. And what the heck happened this weekend throughout our city? We had all kinds of violence. Five killed, 36 wounded over the weekend, and it really wasn't that warm. We had what was it last week? A 5-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 15-year-old, all shot during the week. You can't tell me it's just because you lack jobs. What you're telling me is that something happened we have a moral breakdown, and it's just not happening in the south and west sides. It's happening throughout our city. So we need to restore hope to our people here to give them the opportunity to move forward.
You're right. You're right. And those numbers don't even include the hit and runs. It's been a huge amount of hit and runs. How could you hit an individual and just keep driving? There was a guy hit 5 people on the expressway.
Right at Holman and the Ike.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at that one because that was strange too. And here they are, 5 people. They got out of the cab. Boom, they all got hit. I mean, that's a serious, serious issue. You know what? What's interesting is the stabbing rate has been up in the city of Chicago too. Now, it's one thing to shoot somebody. It's another thing to pull out a knife and stab them. And there's been a stabbing a week almost at this point in the city of Chicago. I mean, and so you got to wonder, we failed in giving mental health. I think no matter who the person that's going to run for mayor and all the people running for all of them, they got to restore mental health clinics throughout the city and give people a chance.
And so how do you tackle those issues with the budget shortfalls that we have here in the city? How do you bring revenue back, because under the current administration, we know he closed mental health facilities. He closed schools. He did a number of things. He, deunionized, so many city entities and different things like that. So how do we bridge that gap to bring the money back that we can open up mental health clinics, because we need that?
I think it's a broader issue that the county, city, and state all have to work on. One of the things I look down from my office along Wacker Drive and the river there, and I see all the homeless, and I'm at between right next to the Sears Tower, so I can see right down underneath those areas, and we've got so many homeless there. We've got veterans that we're not attending to, and they have mental health issues. You know what? If we've got to find the money for it. Let's just put it that way. It doesn't matter where it comes from, what budget it comes from, because if we can restore mental health and help individuals that way, we're going to have a better city and a better society.
Well, I think there's many different entities that we can tax. It's always been on the table. Progressive income tax, financial transaction tax, the other tax, marijuana. We have to pass legislation to make marijuana illegal. That's just me, in some form or fashion. What do you think?
Well, what do you want? Well, no, I am. First of all, I don't disagree with you. I'm worried about, I've always been a proponent of the progressive tax, but lately I'm looking at the structure of what happened, and how we change it and how we change our Constitution. First of all, we hear from all the Democratic candidates, they said, oh yeah, a lot of them were in favor of the progressive tax. Well, I'm concerned with anybody that's making up to $50,000. Maybe we should exclude them from the tax if they've got a family. They've got a family of four. At some point, I mean, we should not be taxing people of that that are barely able to make it. A family of four that's making 25,000 should not be taxed at all. Now the question is whether between 25 and 50. I mean, I'm open for debate on that and listening to it, but if we change the progressive tax the way our Constitution is drafted, it affects our corporate tax. And does that mean more companies are going to be leaving the city and the state? And so now we've got to be careful on how much and at what point. People. I've heard it both ways from people. Oh yeah, I'm making so much money, 250,000. Why should I be paying more? Or why should I be paying less? And I've heard it from people saying I should be paying more. So I mean, we have a progressive tax in the U.S. Absent whatever Trump's tax reform did to it, and we'll see in the next. But it's created a bigger debt for us. But we don't have the ability to print money here. So the progressive tax, we need a full discussion, and people have to come to the table to see what we need to do. Obviously, marijuana, taxing marijuana. I've been for legalizing it for years. But I tell you, we need to bring everybody into the room. We need to bring the police in the room. Why? Because they were the ones making all the arrests. Now they don't make arrests. What they do is, unless you got a big,
unless you black, because they still arrest us.
They write a lot of tickets. And they should be writing tickets, until it's legalized. And yes, the black, brown, white divisions on who gets arrested and who gets ticketed is broad based, and we need to address that issue now. But I have to tell you, we need, because okay, you get arrested, I get a ticket. Well, the day they legalize it, what are they going to do with your arrest? I mean, they got to find ways to expunge those records, and not this nonsense where you got to go to an expungement seminar, bring your rap sheet. We got to take all that off right off the bat.
Well, maybe Dorothy Brown can help us, because she does the expungements for Cook County, and she's a candidate for mayor as well. So we got Dorothy, we got Willie,
we got
Troy.
Jamal, Neil, the tech guy, soon to have
Lori
and Rajoy,
and it's McCarthy. McCarthy, the guy
McCarthy and Vallis.
Yeah.
Wake me up when it's over.
Yeah. I think it's interesting though, because it says a lot about the state of our city where we at. First and foremost, it says to me is that, man, don't nobody like this guy.
Right. I had somebody come into my office and say the same thing today. And she went on and on and on. But the question is, okay, tell me, just because you don't like him, what are the solutions? I'm not sure. He has some financial wherewithal, but he has made all the wrong decisions. And there goes my phone. Sorry about that, and everybody that's hearing that humming.
That's okay.
But we need leadership across the board. We need people that can bring us hope, that can unify us, that can make us the kind of city that we should be. A lot of the major cities all have issues, but Chicago has issues beyond any of them at this point. We have an exodus drove. And years ago, when I was in the city council, it was probably about 2008, somebody came up to me And he said, Bob, you can't be talking about these issues about housing and bringing housing, because we were already behind on the 2010 program about redeveloping many of the affordable housing that were just tearing down. They should have been built. We shouldn't have had to wait for a recession. And the guy said to me, we've got a plan on the books about shrinking the size of the city. And I was like, uh-oh, we're all in trouble if that's true. And I think it's true.
You can see it. I often say, and I often tell individuals that look like me, sound like me, and think like me, that they do have a plan for us. That plan doesn't include us.
Mm-hmm.
So it is key that we get together on key issues, whether it's economic development in the communities of color, strong economic development, whether it's even infrastructure. You drive down some of these city streets in communities of people that look like me, you dodging potholes. So we're not going to get the commerce coming into those communities, and individuals are not going to be willing to put the economic development there. So maybe even if we got, our streets fixed on a good basis, not what they talking about with the aldermen and all those things, but having some strong money coming in from the federal government to fix some of the main thoroughways, that we can open them up, brighten them up, and it makes it more attractive to businesses.
Well, see, that was always my belief. As we moved down Madison Street, we needed to and lighten up the whole corridor. We needed to bring trees. We needed to bring new lighting, new sidewalks, new streets, or re-asphalt the streets. Because you can't bring businesses there. You can't help them at that point. What you just said was more intuitive, because in I think it was in 2010, actually 2009, I said we got to take away all the power from aldermen in the city of Chicago about giving them this 1.5 million to do for infrastructure. We need to divide the city up into 10 districts, geographically equivalent, and then the downtown one, which is a strange district by itself, which is already there. And a lot of things in the downtown section is already cleaned up by what they call loop operations. Most aldermen, God love them all, wouldn't know graffiti walking down the street, wouldn't know a broken curb, and wouldn't know a pothole or a sewer caving in. There's one alderman whose church I go by almost on a weekly basis. And for the last 3 years, I'm watching how the whole sewer system in front of that church is caving in. Now, I'm waiting for him to make the call, but he hasn't to stop it at this point. And it's you can tell it. So you divide the area up into 10. Plus, the downtown area has its own special elite nature. And you hire true professionals. I was in the 47th Ward on Saturday, walking down the street, and I saw a bunch of things that were sticking out. And actually, the guy was walking his dog and almost tripped on the not spikes, but the little studs that were coming out of the sidewalk. And I knew that it had been there for years. No alderman ever addressed the issue. And if I'm not mistaken, that's Rahm's ward too. And it should have been fixed on Lincoln years ago. You need somebody who is a professional. I've seen it. I remember one time right off of Madison at Tallman, there's a viaduct there, and I would drive my ward late at night. So on a Saturday, it was fine. Late Saturday night, no problem. I went under that. It was more Warren, right in that area. No problem. The next day, I have no idea why I was going down there on Sunday. Went down the street, 70, 80 tires, all dumped off to the side. I'm like, I am furious on whoever did this and what, but you need an expert to see what's wrong, where lights are out, where sidewalks need to be fixed, street potholes need to be repaired, and put professionals in charge and not aldermen.
Well, what you said would be a little bit controversial because you said 10 districts, 11 districts. So that's 40 people, 39 that may lose a job.
Well, I'm not saying they all have to lose their jobs. We just take that away from them and start making sure that they know how to legislate and look at what the budget is, look at how to bring jobs into our communities.
So you was a alderman and
I got to pull out my wallet because you asked I'm not
I
giving
did
it
ask
down.
you a question.
Okay, go ahead.
I did ask you that. I thought you were gonna pull out.
A credit card for you?
No. That new city ID card.
Oh,
that new city ID card that the administration has been pushing and that's going to.
You mean this?
Yes.
I got it. Believe it or not, I had to go to. I got I had a change in the car, so it was at the end of December. I had to get a new city sticker, and as I'm walking past, they were there. They were doing it for, I don't know, a few people. So I said, "Can I get a city ID?" "Oh, sure." So I have my City of Chicago identification card. And it expires 12. So I got it on the 20th of December of last year. Now, I don't know what good this is.
That's the question. What good is it?
I'm going to tell. Well, you can use it as a library card, but I do have my library card in here too, and you can use it. You can put up your Ventra money. I do have my Ventra money in card in here too. So I got to figure out a way to get that over there. Now I'm going to say something. Now I went to my bank. Know who I am, and they said one day I was going to cash a check or something, and somebody said, "Oh, Alderman, we need to see an ID from everybody. It's our policy today. It's required." So I said, "Oh, I'm going to pull out." I pulled out the ID card, the key card, or whatever is key ID. I never saw it before. Okay, so wait a minute. They go in the back. I said, "Well, no, I'm going to use that." Because it's supposed to be good at the bank here. They went and everybody came. "We can't use it. Sorry, Alderman. We know who you are. Come on, you got." I said, "Okay, let me pull out my license," which I gave them at the time, and they said that was fine. Now, I went to during the campaign. They were questioning everybody walking in. And again, they knew who I was at one of the bars, and it was it was one of the offshoots of a lawyer association event. And the bouncer says, "Alderman, how are you? Let's see." And I had Nikki with me, and two of us are walking in. "I got a CID." So she pulls out hers. They're letting her, here's my city ID. A big pause. "You got anything else?" So nobody. Yes. So I
think it's in all actuality, and this is my take on it, and this is my take. People can beat me up if they want to. I think it's good for nothing. It's a feel-good card that they put out to attract a certain group of individuals to give them ownership into a system that they would not necessarily be able to engage in. So I think it's for individuals that may not have any form ID or can't get any form ID, because there used to be a time where you can get a nice looking fake ID, but they cracked down on that. So you pulled out some more information.
Yeah, and this is a piece of paper I carry around, and you can tell it's been battered. So New York has 8.5 million people, but they've got technically 51 aldermen. Okay, they are way much bigger than us. LA, which has 3.9, has 15 aldermen. The city of Chicago has 2.7. So we're 1.2 million apart. We have 50 aldermen. So they've got 15, we've got 50. The city below us, which is Houston, which only has about a half a million less than we do, 2.2, has 16 aldermen. So, I mean, that's the top four. I mean, I got the top 10. I mean, San Jose's got a million plus and they got 10. Dallas, 1.2, they got 14. San Diego, 1.3, 9. San Antonio, 1.4, and they've got, I got to get this. I think they got 10. Phoenix, 1.5. They only have 8 aldermen. So if you double them, that would be double our population. That'd be 16. So somewhere in Philadelphia, who I've talked to their mayor, I've talked to many of their aldermen, and they're at 1.5. They only have 17, and 10 of them are elected by district, and 7 of them are elected at large. How's that for
That's very interesting.
Yes, concept.
That's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yes.
I think it'll make individuals be held more accountable to the districts they're serving. You know, I think the way we structure our government, the whole political process here in city of Chicago, county government, state of Illinois, you know, they always say this city that works, and this is the home of the machine.
City that works for who?
For them.
Yes.
The machine people. And if you go against the machine, you know, you can get blackballed and all these other things happen. You know, you may get your offices broken into, your cars, or whatever the case may be, or you may even get a car with a flat tire on the side of the road with all your campaign material on the side, and you don't, you know, get in trouble for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it works for certain individuals.
Right.
So
we do know that.
Yeah. So I think we had a very interesting and robust conversation. I look forward to hearing what's on the horizon for you. And
is the time up already? Are we getting? I got to turn around. Hey, see everybody back there. Yes.
Yeah. So I know we're running short on time. So
and getting out to this suburb way out here, sometimes you really have to leave early from the downtown aspect. Yes.
Yeah, yes. Traffic gets crazy around this time.
Sure does. It sure does.
But our traffic's not like LA.
Well, it's easy for you to say if we're not in it.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. I've been battling the cold. So tune in next week. We should have another interesting guest. I thank Mr. Bob Fioretti for his insight into city government. We look forward to talking to him again on next edition of Policy Matters. Thank you.
You got it.